Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday morning, October the 30th. Coldest air mass of the season so far will move into the eastern states later today, tonight, just in time for Halloween across most sections of the mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S. Cold frontal system passes through the I-95 corridor region late today, early tonight, ushers in that coldest air mass of the season so far for the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time frame. It looks like there'll certainly be some moderation in temperatures by the upcoming weekend across the eastern U.S., but probably another cold shot makes its way from Canada into the eastern part of the nation later next week. Still a little bit of tropical activity to talk about and to monitor over the next week or so. So we'll start off by looking at the tropical situation right now in the Atlantic Basin, and then we'll get to the continental U.S. forecast for the next several days. Two systems right now. One doesn't have much hope in the near term. It's sitting and spinning right in the southwestern part of the Atlantic Ocean. This is a more organized system, kind of a better system in terms of the potential for some development as it crosses westward over the warm waters, the still warm waters of the Caribbean Sea. It has a possibility of spilling out over into the Gulf of Mexico later this weekend or into the early part of next week. So it's certainly something we'll have to monitor. Again, not quite done yet. Cannot rule out another possibility of impact by a tropical system along the Gulf Coast or the East Coast of the U.S. So we'll continue to monitor this situation over the next several days. Well, here we are closing out the month of October, about to begin the month of November, and we'll certainly take a look at snow total forecast maps on an increasing basis from here on out. This is using the 0Z run of the Canadian model, and we'll focus in on the Canadian model over the next few minutes here. Total snowfall forecast for the next 10 days. Quite an active pattern across much of the northern states. Several inches of snow from northeastern Montana across the Dakotas, Minnesota into Wisconsin, and then way up in northern New England, significant amount of snow as well. Let's say the northern half of Maine as an example, not quite making its way into the I-95 corridor region of D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City. Certainly is some hope for that, though, during the month of November going into December. We'll be talking about those possibilities, of course, over the next several days and several weeks to come. A lot of snowfall, also some of those higher elevation regions of the northern Rockies over the next 10 days. Well, here we go with the coldest air mass of the season so far, working its way to the south and east. It gets ushered into the mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S., late today, early tonight, on the heels of a cold frontal system that'll pass through the I-95 corridor region, probably between 4 and 8 p.m. in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. You'll see winds start to increase later on today out of the northwest in the I-95 corridor region. And again, colder air certainly becomes noticeable tonight. There could be some frost in some of those far northern and western suburbs of the big cities along I-95. Now, let's push forward here, and we'll see. We're certainly setting up a colder pattern for the rest of the week. We had unseasonably warm conditions over the weekend and during the latter part of last week in this part of the nation. But that all changes with this frontal passage. And you can see the delineation right here by this evening. And this is that strong surface cold front location, the retreating warmer than normal air off to the east, and the incoming cold blast here that already is fully entrenched across the middle part of the nation and the upper part of the Midwest. It slides in just in time for Halloween across the I-95 corridor region, and really it starts to reach a peak in terms of departures from normal on Wednesday and Thursday. And by the time we get to early Thursday morning, temperatures even in the big cities could be at or below freezing. I'm talking about D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Certainly the suburbs could see upper 20s for lows by the time we get to early Thursday morning. This is the Wednesday morning forecast map, and once that cold air gets in, it'll be kind of reluctant to give ground we have to go all the way to the end of the week to see some moderation in temperatures. And certainly this weekend promises to be pretty decent in the Mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S., with moderation in temperatures. We'll see here by the time we get to Saturday morning, warmer than normal conditions at the 850 millibar level. Again, this is by Saturday morning using the 0Z run of the Canadian model. But later in the next week, we'll start to see another colder air mass, colder than normal air mass, right here charging to the south and east across Canada. This is a week from right now. This is next Monday, November the 6th, and that continues to move to the south and east, so that by the time we get to the middle or latter part of next week, and this is next Wednesday afternoon forecast map, the 8th of November, looks like it'll turn colder than normal once again in much of the eastern U.S. Well, now let's take a look at the surface forecast maps. Not too difficult to find that frontal system right here. Kind of trails this low pressure system from the northeast to the southwest, and that colder air pushing across the Great Lakes today reaches the Mid-Atlantic region later on tonight, and certainly the core of that coldest air arrives by the middle part of the week. Again, by Thursday morning, early Thursday morning, it could be a widespread freeze throughout the Mid-Atlantic region as, again, the coldest core of that air arrives during the midweek. Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and again Thursday night, Friday morning. Very cold indeed compared to what we've been experienced with in the past several days in the Mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S. Here we go by the time we get to the mid-afternoon, and again, the frontal system right in this region right here. We generally see light variable winds this morning, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and surrounding suburbs, but they'll shift to the northwest later on this afternoon, and that will signal the passage of the cold frontal system and the arrival of the coldest air mass of the season so far for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Here we go. Could be some more shower activity later today and into early tonight. Not a heavy rain event, though, associated with this transition to the cold. And then we'll watch that frontal system kind of moves off the east coast, and low pressure indeed may form later on tomorrow night into early Wednesday along that frontal boundary zone off the coast. It certainly can throw some rain back into portions of the eastern Mid-Atlantic. This is, again, late tomorrow night into early Wednesday morning, and in some of those higher elevation locations, interior higher elevation locations, it may very well be cold enough for some snow late tomorrow night into early Wednesday morning with this low pressure right along that at this time stalled out frontal boundary zone out over the western part of the Atlantic. Then once that system passes, the real brunt of the cold air mass arrives in the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, the coldest temperatures look like late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning, and that could repeat late Thursday night into Friday morning across the Mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S. Many, many areas will be below freezing by the time you wake up early Thursday morning. Now, let's move forward here. Again, the cold air starts to modify at the end of the week. This is the Friday morning forecast map. Still generally a little bit below normal, but not quite as chilly as Wednesday and Thursday. And then certainly it looks like moderation in temperatures over the upcoming week, and probably back up into the 60s. D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, a pretty decent weekend is shaping up here for that first weekend in November. Then we go into the latter part of the weekend, early part of next week, and here we go. We have another strong low pressure area over the middle part of the nation a week from right now, next Monday, November 6th time frame, and that looks like it'll certainly usher in a colder air mass from the northwest to the southeast later next week, probably reaching the Mid-Atlantic region by the middle part of next week. So definitely looking like a colder pattern setting up for the eastern states. Of course, we just went through a period with unseasonably warm conditions late last week into the weekend. Certainly that hung on through Saturday. The temperatures started to step down beginning on Sunday in the northeastern quadrant of the nation, and that will continue all the way into Wednesday and Thursday. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.